Have you ever really thought about it? You write a few strange lines of text on a piece of paper, a name, a street, a city, and a short code. You drop it in a metal box. And through some kind of magic, it can travel halfway across the world, through a dozen different hands and machines, and arrive at one specific door out of billions. This isn't magic. It's a system, an invisible global engine of logistics that we use every single day without a second thought. But how was this system built? How did we go from a world with no street names and no house numbers to a network so precise it can pinpoint your front door from thousands of miles away? The story involves plagues, eccentric reformers, world wars, and the invention of a secret code that turned our messy, chaotic world into an organized grid. This is the unseen story of your address. For most of human history, if you wanted to send a message, you needed two things: power and a really good description. Ancient empires like Persia and Rome had incredible courier systems, like the cursus publicus. But these were for government, military, and VIPs only. There were no addresses. A messenger would be told to find the villa of Senator Claudius near the third milestone on the Appian Way with the red door. Delivery instructions were basically a treasure map. For regular people, you'd have to find a traveling merchant or a pilgrim heading in the right direction and hope for the best. Even as great cities like London and Paris grew, they were a tangled mess of unnamed alleyways and winding lanes. Streets were often known by the trade practiced there, like Baker's Lane, or by a prominent landmark, like the street with the big oak tree. If you were looking for someone, you couldn't just look them up. You had to ask around. Do you know where John Miss Smith lives? Oh, you mean the one near the old church? Turn left at the noisy tavern. It was inefficient and based entirely on local knowledge. So when did we get the first key component of a modern address, the house number? The idea wasn't for mail, it was for control and taxes. One of the first recorded uses of house numbers was in Paris in the early 1500s on the houses built on the Pont Notre Dame Bridge. But the idea didn't catch on. People thought it was creepy, a way for the government to watch them. It took a major disaster to make house numbers seem like a good idea: the Great Plague. During outbreaks, authorities needed to quickly locate and quarantine houses. A clear numbering system became a matter of life and death. After the plague subsided, the administrative benefits were clear. In the 18th century, cities across Europe began to systematically name streets and number houses. It was a radical act of civic organization. Suddenly, the chaotic city was being mapped, ordered, and made legible. But even with a street name and a house number, sending mail was still expensive, complicated, and a system built for the rich. That is, until one man came along and changed everything. Meet Sir Rowland Hill. Hill was a British educator and social reformer. In the 1830s, the British postal system was bizarre. The price of a letter wasn't based on weight, but on the number of sheets and the distance it traveled. And crucially, the recipient paid for the delivery, not the sender. This led to all sorts of tricks. People would refuse to pay for unwanted letters. To get around the fees, people would write coded messages on the outside of the envelope. The postman would show the letter to the recipient, they'd read the free message, and then refuse delivery. The system was being cheated, and it was too expensive for ordinary people to use. Rowland Hill had a revolutionary idea presented in his pamphlet Post Office Reform, Its Importance and Practicability. He argued for radical simplification, a single low-rate charge for letters of a certain weight regardless of distance, and to make it work, the sender should pay. And how would they prove they had paid? With a small, adhesive piece of paper, the postage stamp. In 1840, the UK introduced the uniform penny post. For just 1 penny, you could send a letter anywhere in the country. It was an overnight sensation. The volume of mail exploded. For the first time, families who were separated by industrialization could stay in touch. Businesses could correspond with customers cheaply. Society was transformed. The penny post model and the address system it relied on, name, house number, street, city, became the standard across the world. For the next 100 years, this was the system, and it worked, as long as humans were doing the sorting. But then came the 20th century. The world was getting bigger, faster, and more complex. The volume of mail became a flood. Cities sprawled into suburbs with confusingly similar street names: Maple Street, Maple Avenue, Maple Court. Relying on human sorters who could memorize thousands of local streets was becoming impossible. We needed a machine-readable solution. We needed a code. The first nation to implement a nationwide postal code system was the German Reich in 1941, followed by several other countries. But the system that would define the modern era was born in the United States in the 1960s. Meet Mr. Zip, the cartoon mascot for a massive new program by the United States Post Office Department, the Zone Improvement Plan, or zip code. Introduced in 1963, the 5-digit zip code was a game changer. It broke the entire country down into smaller and smaller pieces. The first digit represents a general geographic area of the country. For example, 0 is the Northeast, 9 is the West Coast. The next 2 digits pinpoint a central post office facility or a city, and the final 2 digits narrow it down to a specific neighborhood or even a single large building. It was a code designed for machines. With the zip code, mail could be sorted by high-speed mechanical sorters, dramatically increasing speed and efficiency. It was the key to unlocking the modern logistics network. Other countries developed their own, often more complex alphanumeric codes. The UK's post code, for instance, is incredibly precise. A code like SW1A00A can pinpoint the exact location of Buckingham Palace. The first part, the outward code, gets the letter to the right town and postal district. The second part, the inward code, can narrow it down to a single street or a small group of houses. So how does all this come together today? Let's follow a letter. Once your letter hits the sorting center, it's put on a conveyor belt traveling at incredible speeds. A machine called an optical character reader, or OCR, scans the address. In milliseconds, the OCR reads the zip code or postcode and translates it into a barcode, which is sprayed onto the envelope. From that moment on, your letter is sorted by machines that just read that simple barcode, routing it from city to city and finally to the local delivery office. There, it's sorted one last time into the exact order the mail carrier walks their route, all orchestrated by that simple code you wrote down. But the story isn't over. The very concept of an address is changing. What about the billions of people in the world who don't have a reliable street address? What about disaster zones or vast rural areas? New systems are emerging. Companies like What3Words have divided the entire surface of the Earth into 3-meter squares, each with a unique, unchangeable 3-word address. //filled.count.soap is the entrance to their London office. It's a system that works without street signs or house numbers. And of course, there's the GPS coordinates in every phone, a purely digital address that can guide a drone or a delivery robot right to your feet. The postal address system is one of the greatest examples of unseen collaborative human achievement. It's a quiet symphony of urban planning, social reform, engineering, and global agreement. It's a language that every postal service in the world agrees to speak. It turned a chaotic world of landmarks and vague descriptions into a predictable, machine-readable grid. It enabled connection, commerce, and communication on a scale that was once unimaginable. So the next time you write an address, or even just type one into a map on your phone, take a moment to appreciate it. You're not just writing directions, you're using a key that unlocks a 400-year-old system of global order hiding in plain sight. What other invisible systems are running our world without us even noticing? Let us know your ideas in the comments. And until next time, look for the unseen.